Hello, everyone. We are back. And if you can tell that my hair is greasy from here, it's because it is, honey. I taught this morning and I literally slicked my hair up and back. And I teach 2 classes in the morning. And then I was like trying to comb it down when my guests came over, who I'll talk to you about in a minute. And I'm like, you know what? We're going to make it work today. I don't care. It's all good. I'm having a little psoriasis reaction on my eyeball, which actually is related to the topic today, which we'll talk about. But I'm very excited. By the time that you're hearing this, by the way, I just had my live event, my first Well Said live event. If you're not in Minneapolis, I'm sorry you can't come or couldn't be there, but I'm really excited to give you like a recap. So if you haven't checked it out on my social, it's probably already up and live and going on. And I'm kind of telling you this while I'm prepping for it in my most anxious time of like, oh my God, it's coming. It's around the corner. Is everything ready? So wish me luck for my past self. Okay. This episode today is going to be pretty amazing. I'm very excited because I've never talked about this topic with somebody before. And I've got Megan Sheley next to me, and you can say
hey
hi.
guys.
Yeah, I was going to say, you can say hi. Some people are like, can I say anything?
When am I allowed to talk?
When do I have the go ahead? And Megan and I are friends through like just the Minneapolis creative community. We've talked about it before the episode. We're like, how do we know each other?
Yeah.
And it's probably, that's honestly what it's from. Just like creators and people.
Mutual friends. Like I said, I think the community of creators in Minneapolis is tight knit. Everyone kind of knows each other, and everyone is so willing to introduce somebody that they know or to help somebody out and support, which is great about Minneapolis.
It's the best feeling. It's actually really nice that we have
amazing,
that here. Because it's really friendly and everyone like gives to each other, which is really cool because we want everybody to succeed. But Megan and I were talking about, okay, what do we want to talk about? Because we had like 40 things written down because we were like, oh my God, this or this. And then we came together on the idea and feeling of autoimmune diseases. And I know people out there are listening that either have them, maybe don't know that they have them, they're feeling sick and they have no idea.
Yep.
And then along with that and all of that change in your life when you realize that you have something that's making you sick, just the general idea of like, it's never too late to change. And some of that relates to autoimmune. Some of it is completely separate of what Megan does now. So we'll get into all of that. And it's going to be kind of like 2 parts. One's going to be about mental health and like asking for help and autoimmune. And then the other half is going to be about like, it's never too late to change.
Finding yourself.
Yeah. Which I'm so excited about. So
yeah, it's a huge topic.
I'm like, I can't wait for this because it's a long time coming and I've done a lot of health, like big, heavy health hitters lately, which I love. But I know that we need some like personable, really amazing content too. So I'm so excited for this. Do you want to introduce yourself and tell people just like a hair of what we'll get into of like who you are and what you're up to right now?
Yeah. Do I look at you? Do I look at the
You can look wherever.
Okay.
I look here if I'm like, I'm talking directly to something really intense or to myself.
Okay.
But then I'll look at you.
I'm going to talk to you.
Yeah, you can talk to me.
So my name is Megan Sheley. I am currently a full-time food blogger. I started out as a nutrition coach. So my background is in nutrition and holistic health in that sense and how, food impacts our overall health and well-being. I was diagnosed with an autoimmune disease in 2021.
Oh, mid-COVID.
After being sick for about 3 years, being in and out of doctors, not sure what was wrong with me. And I mean sick, like not leaving my house sick. So after being sick for so long, getting diagnosed with something was it was sad, but it was so freeing.
Yeah.
Because then I felt like I finally had a direction. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. And just wandering through the dark when you don't get answers.
The worst feeling in the world, literally.
Truly, yeah.
But all of this has come together and you've like got your diagnosis and then you've basically created this amazing platform too, which is so insane after leaving your like corporate in air quotes job, which we'll talk about later about like never too late to change and all these things.
Yep.
But let's just dive into your story about autoimmune because like what happened? Like, I mean, obviously you were going to school, you get your nutrition degree. Everyone thinks if you have a nutrition degree, you should know everything about everything.
Of course.
Health related. So talk to me about like, what were you feeling and what happened?
I mean, that was a whole issue in itself was being in the space of health and wellness and nutrition and preaching how to take care of your body. And then in the midst of that, I was so sick. So I felt like a fraud. I went through this weird phase of like, what am I doing? Who am I to be preaching this stuff when I'm at home sick as a dog? And I don't know what's wrong with me. Doctors can't figure out what's wrong with me. And up until, 2021, or let's say 2018, I was healthy. And I went to Hawaii on vacation. And that's when I got sick.
When you say sick, what happens? Like what? Or like, was it a food and then something really scary bad?
So basically I was perfectly healthy. And then the next day I was in the midst of my disease. I had a horrific flare up. My naturopathic doctor now thinks it was because I got food poisoning that led to a bacterial infection, that led to inflammation, that led to chronic inflammation. And chronic inflammation is autoimmune. That's what autoimmune is. It's inflammation in the body that's not going to go away.
Oh my God.
So while my doctor, my MD, had no idea what was wrong with me, my naturopath definitely has linked it back to foodborne illness. So there's a lot of studies coming out now that colitis and Crohn's disease are being triggered or being linked to starting as foodborne illness that has made its way into a bacterial infection, leading to inflammation.
Wow. Okay.
So yeah, I linked it back to my Hawaii trip, and I was sick for 3 years, in and out of doctors. Couldn't figure out what was wrong with me. A lot of the things you're going to be told at a doctor when you say you have GI issues is that it's anxiety. So I had about 4 doctors tell me to get on Xanax.
Oh, just throw you on some Xanny and we'll call it a day. Okay.
Yeah. And let me tell you, I was on the TMI. I was on the toilet about 12 to 15 times a day.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
But I mean, like we can laugh about that because it's like I've experienced it too, but it's actually when it's not just one day.
No.
And now it's 1 week and now it's 1 month.
2.5 years.
2.5 years.
Yeah.
2.5 years.
Yeah. So when they were telling me to take Xanax, that's when I was like, I'm going to need to take a different route with this. And that's when I started working with my naturopathic doctor who found my disease, treated my disease, and put me into remission naturally.
How did she or he find what you were like sick with? Because all you really knew was that I'm literally using the toilet constantly. Things are making me feel ill.
Yep.
What else were you feeling?
Fatigue. My hair was falling out. I looked sick. My face looked, I wasn't getting nutrients.
Yeah, because you're just, it's all going through you.
So the fatigue was the worst part. My stomach hurt. Like I had a chronic tummy ache. Like that's what I would tell my boyfriend. I was just like, my stomach hurts. Like I feel like a little 2-year-old being like, my tummy hurts. And I knew something was wrong. I mean, you're not meant to be on the toilet 15 times a day.
No.
Something's wrong. So I went into my naturopath, and the first thing they do is they basically take a stool sample because your stool tells a lot about what's going on inside. And right off the bat, they looked at 2 inflammation markers that live in your gut. One is calprotectin and one is lactoferrin. Your calprotectin, I believe, is supposed to be at about a 12.
Okay.
Mine was at 273.
Okay.
So that's my inflammation was high. So right off the bat, he was like, I'm not going to lie, this looks like Crohn's disease.
Okay.
So we were going to have you go in and get a colonoscopy. And at that point, I was pretty nervous because Crohn's disease is a pretty serious disease.
It's no joke, and people don't talk about it, but because it's kind of like this secretive, like, oh my gosh, too much time on the toilet. Like it's just like the bathroom related and the food related, and it's abnormal because you're like, wait, aren't you fine?
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. It's not what disease is pretty? None of them are pretty. None of them are fun to talk about, but they're important to talk about. So at that point, I kind of thought I had Crohn's disease when I went in for my colonoscopy. Got my test results back, and he said I do not have Crohn's. And what they did is they had to take a biopsy of my intestine to find my disease. So what I have is microscopic colitis. It's the same thing as colitis, but it has to be seen under a microscope because it lives so deep in my intestine that to the naked eye in my colonoscopy, I looked fine. So they take a biopsy, look at it under a microscope. So it lives deep in the intestine. So it's underdiagnosed. So a lot of the times people are going in for these colonoscopies and the doctor's like, oh no, you don't have Crohn's or colitis. But it's like, did you take a biopsy? Because I could have microscopic colitis. It could be deeper. So it's an underdiagnosed disease, and it's rarer than Crohn's and colitis.
Yep.
But I think it's rare because it's underdiagnosed.
Can you take a step back and tell people what an autoimmune disease really, really is? I mean, it's inflammation, but like, what is it basically? What's happening?
Your cells are attacking themselves.
Okay.
Your body thinks there is something in your body that should not be there. So it's it's pumping up inflammation to try to get rid of whatever is in your body causing inflammation.
Think about, this is how I explain it, is like, if you get a sliver,
Yeah.
the area is going to swell because it's
Yep.
going to push the sliver out, basically, is what's
Exactly.
happening. It's like
Yeah.
pushing the unknown item out of your body. That's
Yeah.
like what is basically going on.
Exactly.
In a very simplified form.
Yep.
But
No,
okay,
that's like
yeah.
a great way to like just dumb it down.
Yeah.
That's what it is. Your body thinks there's something in there that shouldn't be, and it pumps up inflammation and
But it does it everywhere because it doesn't know where it is.
exactly. So
because it doesn't exist. It's not there. So
Right.
It's very weird.
yeah, and I mean your body is meant to have inflammation. Inflammation is good because it does fight off infection. It fights off things that aren't meant to be in your body. But when it becomes chronic, that's when there's an issue, and that's when disease happens. That is what disease is chronic inflammation.
Oh my God. And so many people are going not diagnosed with this thing. So
Oh, yeah.
you get diagnosed with this microscopic Crohn's, or wait, did I say that right?
Microscopic
Or excuse me, I'm
colitis.
sorry.
Yep.
Microscopic
Nope, you're fine.
colitis. We were saying both. What was your next step? They're like, okay, and you know what you have, but you still have the symptoms. Like, what happens?
Yeah. So the doctor that called me was my GI doctor. So he's an MD. And their approach is obviously very different than naturopathic doctors.
Mm-hmm.
I've always wanted to take the natural route. That's just always my first go-to.
Yep.
So my GI doctor called me and he was like, you don't have Crohn's, you do have microscopic colitis. And I was like, okay. And I weirdly felt okay. At that point,
Okay.
I had been so sick. All I wanted was an answer.
Yeah.
I was like, I just want an answer so I know what direction to go. Right now, I have no direction.
You're in
I'm
the
just sick. So when I got that diagnosis, he basically said, what we can do is put you on a steroid for 6 months.
Oh, geez.
I was like, steroids are first of all, they're great for fighting inflammation.
Yeah.
They really are. But to put your body on steroids for 6 months does a lot of damage. And doctors do not talk about that.
Yep. I was on a steroid for probably 9.
Oh my God.
Which I'll give my little background of like
Was
what
that
I've
for
dealt
your
with.
autoimmune?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's their go-to.
Yep.
It's like
I didn't know.
steroids.
I mean,
No, of course.
you
And
know,
you want to,
like-
you're supposed to trust the doctor.
trying to get help here.
Of course.
And live my life again. But
Of course.
Yeah. So
And so many people follow the direction of doctors. And that's why it's so frustrating because my goal was to put myself into remission. I was determined. After he told me that was my only option, I said, no, it's not.
yeah. There's
And
no
I-
freaking way.
Yeah, I worked with my naturopath and we put myself into remission within 2 months naturally.
How?
Supplementation, removing inflammatory foods. I mean, he put me on really strong, potent, natural anti-inflammatories. So think turmeric, curcumin,
Yep.
EGCG, which is the strongest component in green tea.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So these are just earth elements that are fighting inflammation. And I was in remission within, about a month and a half.
Just can't even believe that.
I still have the steroids sitting in my medicine cabinet.
kind of like as a reminder?
Yeah, just like I have not taken one of those.
Wow. That's impressive as hell.
Yeah.
And so talk about like what did you have to cut out? What are inflammatory foods? I mean, I can think of a handful of them. Obviously, most of us I think probably can. But like,
Yeah.
what were you cutting out? What changes did you make in your life immediately that like basically were like, oh yep, it's gonna free my body and now my body's okay-ish, right?
Yeah.
Okay-ish.
So the immediate one for me that was no questions asked and so easy for me to cut out was alcohol.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Like that was like something that I would have given up before, but it was just such a social thing.
Yep.
But now I had this firm, kind of like an excuse to just be like, no, I'm good. And I think since I've been diagnosed, I've probably drank like 3 or 4 times.
I
in
can't even
2
believe
years.
that.
Yeah.
You're like, I'm good.
It was never something that I enjoyed anyways. And this was such a no-brainer for me.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, alcohol is so inflammatory to the gut.
Yep.
And with a disease that lives in my gut, it would just, and my health is it's the most important thing we have. It truly is. When we don't have our health, we have nothing. When I was in the midst of my disease and at my sickest, my job was affected. My romantic relationship was affected. My friendships were affected because I couldn't show up to things. I was so angry at my body for rejecting whatever. I couldn't even figure out what it was rejecting. But you go through a lot of, you have nothing when you are really, really sick. So it was a no-brainer for me to cut out alcohol.
I mean, it's genius to do.
Yeah.
I mean, here's something interesting, because this is what I always remember when I'm feeling sick is like, when you are in the midst of your sickness, you're like, holy shit, I didn't realize how good I had it.
Yeah.
Like imagine when you have the flu, or like imagine when you have a terrible, terrible cold, excuse me,
when
or
your
COVID,
nose
I was
is
going to
just
say.
stuffy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like, depending on how COVID was for you, maybe that's not a good example, but, and you're like, I feel so ill. I don't know if I'm ever going to get out of this.
I know.
I am so bothered that I took for granted actually, like how I felt when I'm just going about my day-to-day business.
I know. Like when your nose is clogged, you're like, wow, I miss breathing. I can't believe I took that for granted.
The hell was I thinking? Like, I need to be more thankful. I need to be more whatever.
Yeah.
Think now about being that sick for 2.5 years. Like that's
Totally.
absurd. That is so bad.
I know.
And people, I think what I'm trying to like have people stir up in their minds is like, have you listened to your body? Have you been intuitive lately? Have you asked yourself, how do I feel? Like, what am I feeling inside? Truly, what am I feeling? And what do I feel after I drink?
Yeah.
What do I feel after I eat certain foods? What do I feel after I've been at a really stressful like event setting or outing, like a concert, like, right? Because those are like stimulants.
Yeah.
So just, I'm inviting you to do some research in your own body right now. And I think you might find something, especially some of you who are like, yeah, if alcohol just makes me sick, I don't know, and I'm on the toilet after. It's like, that's not normal.
It's not normal, yeah.
I know it's an inflammatory, but it's actually not normal to just like let foods make you sick, which I didn't understand until more recently.
Yeah. And I think there's also, we chatted about this earlier, there's a weird normalization in this country of feeling sick.
Yeah.
And being tired and always being bloated after you eat certain foods. Like, oh, that's normal. These symptoms aren't normal. No. It's not normal to feel chronic fatigue. It's not normal to have a stomach ache after you eat. It's not normal to be shitting 12 to 15 times a day. We have to stop normalizing these ailments because people are not being seen and they're not being heard by the medical professionals.
It's so horrifying. And I mean, we're normalizing the behavior that gets us to them too.
For
like
sure.
I was like, oh
For
my
sure.
God, why am I so sick? Whatever. And like eating McDonald's, or like, why am I so ill? Or like feeling like I have bubble gut when I just had a crap load of dairy and I know I'm probably lactose if that's how my body is reacting.
Totally.
What I had to come to terms with was dairy was hurting my body to the point, and this is more recently, you guys have probably heard me talk about this a little bit, but like dairy was hurting my body to the point it was causing inflammation. And inflammation is not good for your body. It gave me a tummy ache and a headache and I felt fatigued and I would have bubble gut and I would have to use the restroom. But it was causing inflammation in my gut, which causes other things to not work, which causes supplements like any hormones or vitamins to not be absorbed.
Yep.
And things to start misreacting and misfiring. Your cortisol goes high, which is your stress hormone.
Yep.
What makes you live longer? Less stress.
Yeah.
So I'm just trying to bring this all together to show like the holistic look as to why, when you don't feel good when you're eating something, it's actually really important to pay attention to it. And maybe it's even deeper than that, like autoimmune, which is just wild to me because I didn't even know what this was until I don't know how many years ago I had my issues. But
autoimmune is sort of it's like this new thing.
Yeah.
It's a very much so an our generation thing.
Yes, for sure.
You do not see autoimmune in older generations the way you do in ours. And our generation seems to be pretty inflamed.
Yep.
And it sure as hell has a lot to do with our food system here.
Yeah, it really, really does.
I mean, dairy is inflammatory, and it's not because of the dairy. It's because of the way we are raising our cows and what we're pumping them with. I mean, I know people who are lactose intolerant who travel to Europe and eat a shitload of cheese, and they're fine.
Yep, that's me.
So it is, the food system in this country is making people very sick.
I think it's also just misinformation. So I want to tell you guys real quick of like what my mini story is of like autoimmune, because I have an autoimmune disease and I don't like talk about it all that much because, to be honest, I feel like I was telling Megan this. I'm like, it's not that it's a secret. I'll tell anybody I have psoriasis, but I don't know enough to talk about it confidently. And so let me dive into that. when I was in, oh my gosh, I guess middle school, I was a little pipsqueak. Like I was tiny, 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 working out so much. Like, I mean, you can probably picture it like just lacrosse, track, hockey, and like you're just like working out excessively, eating pizza, eating like whatever you wanted.
Yeah.
Then I started getting into high school, and the cool thing in high school was these like Herbalife shakes. Sorry, I'm like probably shouldn't say the name of the company, but there you have it. There it is. And no knock at them. I'm just gonna explain what happened for me. I started drinking them a lot because they were cool. It was like the fun thing to do. I got my car, like I had like this little bug car, and I would go like drive to Herbalife before work or before school with my friends, and I'd get this shake, and I have no idea what was in it. No idea.
I would love to look at the ingredients.
I don't even think that exists. I don't know if it
They
does.
don't
I'm
even
serious.
have a label.
I don't even know if they have a label. I'm dead ass. And so, and then, you know, like I was still working out. I was like an athlete at school, and like I needed to be performing really, really high. Well, guess what started happening? Like I started getting really sick because I drink more shakes, and I again wanted to stay thin because your body starts to change, right? So I'm eating less. I'm drinking more shakes. I doubt that I was eating a good diet. I doubt I was eating enough. I mean, that's a whole nother section of like almond moms situations going on over there.
Yep.
But what started to happen was, and I did get food poisoning in Cozumel, Mexico. This is weird because you said that, and I was like, I had a severe, like food poisoning attack in Cozumel, Mexico. I will never forget it. I was sick on the plane. I was sick for weeks, like 2 weeks.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, like bad. Like I was not normal after that.
Yeah.
Whatever. So now I'm in school. I'm going to school. I was okay, but like my tummy always felt upset. Now I'm starting to get chronic like stomach pain. Pains.
Yeah.
Felt like gas at first, thought it was gas. Then it's just like this terrible ache. I'm going to the bathroom incessantly. All my friends that are listening are probably like, oh my God, I remember this. Like I sometimes we would drive somewhere. I had to have someone drive my car home.
Yep.
Because I had to lay down in the backseat. I can't sit up.
Been there. Yeah.
Yep. I couldn't have my pants pushing on my stomach.
Yep.
I would have to have a bathroom like close by, or it was going to be a problem. Seriously.
For sure. No,
And
I know.
It wasn't just when I drank these shakes. It started to be just like all the time.
Yeah.
So I started missing practice. I started like not being able to perform because I was really skinny and like looking pale, like you're talking about.
Yeah.
We ended up, at one point I couldn't get any food down. Couldn't even keep water down. I was like puking. It was like shooting pains in my stomach and in my intestine. They said they'd have no, what are they called? Colonoscopy appointments available. Cause I went to specialists. They're like, we don't know what's going on. Like you need to get a colonoscopy. It started going downhill fast. So they actually ordered an emergency colonoscopy for me because I didn't sleep for like 4 days and like was just puking and in so much pain. It was the worst experience I've ever.
And this is still from the Mexico thing.
Yes, but I hadn't drawn the conclusion.
Got it.
That it may have started during that period of time because that would have made sense.
Yeah.
It was all kind of in like that line.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I go to get a colonoscopy. I'm 15, I think, 15 or 16, I think. They find nothing. They take a sample. They did an endoscopy that's just down your mouth. Nothing. And by the way, let me just say, when you are under 18, your parent has to be in the room when you're getting a colonoscopy.
Wow.
My mom has literally been there for me, seeing the insides and outsides of my body. I'm dead serious. Like that's a true story. And nothing came of it. And they just said, I think you have colitis, maybe. Like that's what we think it is. I would cut out dairy. You're going to take this steroid and off you go. And that was literally the end of my story. That's it. That's where it ends. I one day realized that I was taking this really strong steroid when one of my friends of friends said, that's weird that you're taking steroids that much. Those are known to make your bone mass like really thin, or they make
like, your bones like lace.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I was like, what? So I stopped taking it. I had already been on it for a long time. And everything kind of started subsiding when my anxiety got really lessened. Like it's not amazing, but it got a lot less.
Yeah.
Symptoms still lingered. For some reason, it just started to get a little bit better. I think it was because I was in a warm climate, and turns out I have psoriasis. So I was seeing those patches on my head and my skin, but my skin was in sun, so it felt better.
When did you get psoriasis? Was this after the stomach stuff?
I don't know. I literally cannot put a finger on when I got psoriasis. I have literally no idea when it came on.
Okay.
No clue.
It would make sense if it came on after you had that gut thing. Because,
Well, it would have been after.
Yeah,
I just don't know when or where it came from, which is psoriasis is just basically like I get like patches. I get a lot on my head. What I've noticed, I have one on my eye right now, but it might have been from a chemical, but my skin is very sensitive, like, which is your largest organ. So, but it gets very angry very easily. My skin, like Jordan kisses me on the neck with his beard, immediate rash, like full hives. Like, yeah.
Wow. Well, skin stuff is a huge sign that something's off in the gut.
Yep.
So that's why I said, like, if that came on after your colitis blow up, like that would make perfect sense.
Yeah. So that's like where I stand. And I don't feel like I have enough information. I don't feel like I know what's wrong. My next goal would be to go to a naturopath.
Yeah. That was my next suggestion.
But it costs a lot of money.
So
I have to save for it and like literally save to go in.
Here's the thing. When I was really sick, I paid for I think it was like a 15-minute phone call with a GI specialist. The phone call was probably 12 minutes long.
Okay.
Cost me $397. And
what the fuck? I'm sorry.
He asked me nothing. He asked what my symptoms were, and then he said, go get a colonoscopy. My naturopathic doctor is about the same price. Yeah. But he put me into remission.
Yeah, I was going to say,
and he found my disease. So it's about where do you want to prioritize spending your money? Do you want to spend it on a doctor who's probably not going to ask you about your diet, not going to ask you about your stress levels, not going to ask you about your sleep? Do you get sunshine? What's your alcohol intake? Who are you surrounding yourself with? Diving into those very basic health things.
Yep.
Or do you want to go see a doctor who's going to put you on a steroid and say, off you go?
I'm going to a naturopath this week, everyone. Just FYI. I'm not joking.
You should.
I'm not joking.
And honestly, the things that my naturopath told me to do after my diagnosis, when you ask, like, what did you do to get into remission?
Yeah.
Aside from, the anti-inflammatory supplements, it was all very basic things.
Like life things.
Get vitamin D. Surround yourself with healthy relationships. Enjoy what you do for a living. Move your body daily. Get outside. Sleep 8 hours. I'm not joking. That was my to-do. It's like a prescription. Incorporate mushrooms into your diet because they are so medicinal and healing. Incorporate these foods. Drink water. I was like, this is wild. So simple. These are things that people should be doing every single day. And this is what I'm being told to do after I was just diagnosed with a disease.
Will you write that out? And I'm going to put it in the bio of this like episode in the description of like those things.
Yeah.
Like list it out and just like, let's just like have it somewhere for people to, if they want to start somewhere. Sure. If you can't, if a naturopath is not in your like line of sight right now. And I hate to say it if you're like, oh, I'm not like sick though. I'm like, everybody's got something going on these days, whether it be mental health related, whether it be whatever.
Totally.
And they're all intertwined like a weird little web and you'd be surprised.
It is all intertwined.
So we actually got a write-in or a call-in, I should say, from Call Sid.
Okay.
And, or to Call Sid. That's me. I'm like, what? From where? From who? Who's it from? And I'm going to play it, you guys. And, remember, if you ever want to write in, it's 612-470-7569. You can leave me a message. I prefer a message because I get a lot of write-ins and I can only read and respond back so fast. But with these, I can literally just play them right into an episode and we can change your voice. So I'm going to play this real quick and we're going to answer to it because I think this person is going to benefit from hearing this episode and we can talk about what she's talking about.
For sure.
Hey, Sid. I think my first message got cut off a little bit, but I just wanted to give just a quick summary. I do have an autoimmune condition, and I know you'll be talking about that on a future episode. I have Hashimoto's, which is a thyroid autoimmune, and there's many different symptoms with that, including fatigue, and I've decided to really take a step back and focus on my health for the past almost year now. And I just want advice on how to navigate this with friends and sharing when I'm not feeling well without being a downer or a drag or negative. And I haven't felt comfortable being able to do that because in the past when I've done that, I've been called sensitive, being a downer, just not being like fun or good to hang around. And I've kind of stepped away from the friends who told me that before, and I do have a different group of friends, but it's just like made me really shy to share anything because I don't want this new, group of friends to feel that way either. So I've just been like holding everything in about my symptoms, my diagnosis, and just talking about it with my husband and my mom. So I don't know if I should just not bother friends with that because I know friends have their own problems and their own lives, and they probably don't care or need to worry about my problems or my life. But I would like someone to like vent to once in a while. So if you have any advice for that would be great. Okay, bye.
It makes me so sad. That like makes me want to cry. It's so sad.
It is really sad.
Oh, Lord.
And I'm sure so many people relate to that who are in that situation. These autoimmune diseases aren't visible to other people. The autoimmune disease world they are called invisible diseases.
Yeah. Yep.
Which is really hard because the only person who can see how sick you are is you.
Yeah.
Because in the outside world, you look fine.
Yeah.
And that's hard to communicate to people that you don't feel good when you look good.
Yeah.
You're
fine.
It's like, what if they don't believe me? I do feel for that girl, for sure. I was there. I've been there. It's a very isolating experience being super sick. And I think as women, we definitely worry about being a burden to somebody. We don't want people to worry about us. We're okay. We can handle this ourselves.
I'm guilty of that too, probably just in general.
For sure. Yeah. And not even about like disease stuff, like just in general, I think women tend to not want to be like a burden to people. And unfortunately, when you are really sick, you do tend to feel like you are being a burden to someone, even though you're not. Your true friends will be there for you. And I know it's hard to probably bring up, and it may feel like there's not a right way to do it. And I'm at a point in my life with my disease where I never used to talk about it. When I got diagnosed, half of my friends said, I had no idea you were so sick.
Oh my God.
Part of me, that made me almost sad because I was like, wow, I hit it that well. Some of my friends had no idea. And
Living
that was
your life
on me.
Pretending.
That was on me. Yeah. Because I didn't want people to know. I didn't want people to like be catering to me and feel like they needed to help me. But it's now at a point in my life where I don't lead with it. Mm-hmm. I'm just open with it. Yep. If I'm hanging out with somebody for the first few times, I'm like, yeah, hey, I have an autoimmune disease and it affects my health. And there are some times where I can't show up. Like I can't show up to these events that everybody's going to.
Yep.
So that's just the reality of my situation.
Yeah. That made me really sad. And that just, the people that you surround yourself with need to be supportive. Like this person is like, I'm not going to burden like my people. I'm like, you can burden whoever. Like you should be able to talk to your people and feel good about like, hey, I'm not feeling well. Like I need you to show up for me. Or like, I would never worry about who you're telling. And if you're worrying about who you're telling, that means your circle needs to change.
For sure.
And I think that's why I wanted to play this now, because this kind of trickles into like, it's never too late for change, because I wanted to talk about you and like when you were sick and when you were not showing up and like when you finally found an answer.
Yeah.
Like what were you talking to people about? Like you were obviously not able to go to social functions and like you weren't able to show up for other people all the time. Like what happened to your relationships?
I mean, the ones that were meant to be my friends at this point in my life stuck around.
Yeah.
And I think that's just the bottom line. The ones that are going to stick around are the ones that should stick around.
Yeah.
So there are friends who, didn't believe me when I was sick. Oh, you're not coming out with us tonight. Oh my God. You're not even sick. You were just, you were just at the farmer's market this morning. But then there's friends that are like, hey, do you. Take care of you, protect your energy, protect whatever you need to do. And those are the friends that, they're the ones who checked in on me.
Yeah.
They're the ones who are still my friends today.
Yeah.
The friends that are going to stick around for the long haul, hold on to those ones. And they're the real ones.
They really are.
Yeah.
Your circle can get smaller and it can be okay. Your circle can shift and ebb and flow.
Absolutely.
And it is okay. Like it's a good thing. So we talk about this, like it's never too late for change. And I want you to like tune back in if you're like, well, I don't have an autoimmune disease, like I don't relate to that. It's like, well, actually all of this is relatable in life. This is about wellness as a whole. Autoimmune speaks to wellness as like a whole unit. You know what I mean? Like it's about being well in all of these different areas of life. And You had a lot of change.
For sure.
A lot of change.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, before I was sick at all, I changed careers entirely at 27 years old, which is when a majority of my friends were starting to get really settled into their careers. So this was like scary. It was scary as hell because all my friends were, getting settled and starting to like build these, climb up these corporate ladders. And here I am saying, I'm going to start from ground zero. Yeah, I'm actually going to pivot entirely. I'm going to do something so different. And while I felt confident in doing that because I was following a passion, it's scary as hell because you're going against like societal norms.
I mean, that's difficult to even think about doing right now. I'd be like, oh, Jesus. I mean, even like having this is like going against societal norms and talking about stuff that like,
for sure.
Oh my God, people like being real. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Tell me about, because I know we're shifting a little bit away from autoimmune for a second, but I want to hear, tell me about like what you were doing and then what you felt. And then what you were thinking you wanted to create, because you had some idea. Now, I mean, Megan, if you haven't checked out her Instagram, like while we were listening, you need to go look because she's uber successful. So I want to show people that you can see nothing. You can just see that you're not in a good spot and it's not clear. Yeah. But there's something on the other side.
For sure. Yeah. So I was in digital marketing from when I graduated college up until I was 27 years old. And the company that I was working for was actually acquired by a larger company and we all got laid off.
Oh, jeez.
And it was before then that I was thinking about making a change. I just was scared to make the leap. And then that happened. So I lost my job and I was like, this seems like the time. There's something telling me this is like a sign from the universe. So I moved to Thailand. Random.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I moved to Thailand and taught English for a year.
So cool.
Yeah, it was very cool. And when I came home, that's when I was like, I'm not going back to work for a corporation. It's not me. It was never me. My first corporate job out of college, I was like, this is not for me. Yep. 23 years old. I was like, not going to happen.
Yep.
But I stuck with it because that's what we're told to do.
Set up straight, smile big, get your work done.
Yeah. So I actually went back to school when I moved home from Thailand and I went back to school for nutrition and I became a nutrition coach.
Oh, I didn't realize this was even more telling of a time for you to be getting your degree in nutrition because you were struggling with all of this or starting to.
Yep.
Okay.
So then I started kind of just sharing some things on Instagram. And let me tell you, I had like 800 followers at this point. I was talking to like my friends and family and people thought it was very cringe and it was scary. It's scary putting yourself out on the internet. I
remember your account way early on before, and I never for one second thought it was cringe. I'm serious.
I don't know. I mean, girls can be mean,
Yeah, no,
and these are like friends, like people you think are your friends.
Oh, yeah.
But it's funny because they're not saying that stuff anymore. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It's cringe at the beginning.
Oh, yeah.
But then if you're doing cool shit and you're making it, it's no longer cringe.
Now look who's cool. And
it's a really interesting concept.
Can't stand that.
I know. But it gives you it put me in such a situation where now when I see somebody doing something different, following a passion project, doing something out of the norm, I'm like, hell yeah, I will support this to the end because I know what it's like to start out from the beginning. I know what it's like. It's so scary to put yourself out there. And if you're following a passion, good for you. Yeah. That is hard to do.
It's a hustle always. And you don't know where you're going. Like here's how I think of it in like corporate America, because I'm still in it. Part of my life. You are in this little like tunnel or like channel, or maybe it's a river, and you kind of know where you're going to go because you can see all the positions above you. You're like, oh, okay. I kind of know where this can go. It will probably ebb. I'll probably go through some creeks. There'll be a waterfall, whatever. But I know really where I'm going to end up. Kind of. Yeah. Right? It's blurry, but it's there.
Yeah.
With your own thing, your own passion project, there is no one to tell you where to go. No. There is no one to tell you what's right and what's wrong. No. What to test, what not to test, who to talk to, not to talk to, what's a risk, what's not a risk. Don't sign that contract, sign that contract. I mean, literally, it's you. You can ask for help.
Yep.
But you're ultimately the one that has to make the decisions, and it's fucking hard.
It is.
It's hard.
It's really hard.
So it's admirable. So props to you for just jumping out of one thing and being like, I'm going to go for something I actually care about.
Yeah. And I think it's also important to note that it's okay to not know what direction it's going to go or where you want to end up in. Like when people are like, where do you see yourself in 5 years? I'm like, I don't fucking know. I don't know where I'm going to be in 6 months.
Yeah, exactly.
You just got to go. You got to take step one foot in front of the other and just keep going and be able to adjust and pivot if something changes. Like I started out as a nutrition coach. I thought I was going to be working one-on-one with people, telling people what to eat and how to eat to fuel their body to be healthy and doing pantry cleanouts. And that's how I started. But then I started sharing my recipes and I realized my passion was creating in the kitchen. And now I'm a full-time food blogger. Had you asked me 5 years ago, if I had been a food blogger, I would have been like, probably not.
Yeah, what are you talking about?
But you've got to be able to pivot and follow what feels right. I think being able to tune in to your body and listen to what feels right your body's going to guide you.
Yeah, it will.
Your intuition is going to guide you in the right direction.
My gut always told me when to change jobs.
Hell
gut always told me when to change business directions or, like something doesn't sit right or something really sits right. Like this feels good.
For sure.
There's something there. And we were talking about this before is like you said, it's okay to not know where you're going.
Yeah.
All I know right now is that whatever I'm doing next or this current thing that I'm doing right now is going to lead me to whatever's next.
Exactly.
Do I exactly know what that is? No, not really, because I probably haven't tried everything that I'm going to that's going to be like, oh, I really like doing events. Maybe now this is like a full women's group events business. There's this endless opportunity. But just having the courage to do it is like a really big deal.
Right.
Yeah.
And like you said, like even if it's not exactly what you want to be doing right now, it's probably a stepping stone to where you are meant to be.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yep.
I think just putting emphasis on listening to your gut, and when you feel resistance towards something, if something doesn't feel right, it's not right. It's your body telling you this is not right. This is not the path we're supposed to be on. This is not what we're supposed to be doing. So tune inward and listen to what your gut is telling you.
Yeah.
Because it's guiding you.
What would you say to somebody who's struggling with, well, my gut's telling me to leave this career, but I'm not confident I can make enough money to, stand on my own?
Start out just doing it while you are still in your career. Because I get that the money thing, that's scary.
That's a real problem.
Realistically, we need money to survive. So, I was nannying on the side while I was starting my nutrition coaching. I was doing something to provide an income for myself, but it was a way for me to fuel where I really wanted to be. I knew it was temporary. I knew it wasn't what I wanted to do, but it was allowing me to pursue what I wanted to do and where I wanted to go.
Yep.
It's a grind to start something from scratch and to pick up a passion and to try to make it a career. But if it's worth it to you, you got to put work into it.
How did you know that it was sticking and this was the direction you could go?
It just felt right. It was for the first time in my life that I was doing something that I was good at. I can create recipes. It was sticking with the people I was sharing it with, and I just felt confident in it. Whenever I was in the corporate world, I never felt like this is exactly where I'm supposed to be. And when I started doing this, I was like, this is maybe not exactly where I'm going to be, but it's going to get me there.
It's towards where you want to go.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God. And I'm just thinking about when your page was 800 and then it was 10K and then it was 30K and then it's 70K and now it's 100 and almost 40K or something like that.
Yeah.
Just the different shifts you were feeling, how much did you have to lean into people like me doing this versus I like doing this. Do you get what I'm saying? How much was of one versus the other, or did they kind of merge together? Is that why it worked?
They merged together, and that's why it clicked, because I felt like I was sharing stuff that was authentic to me, and things that I enjoyed sharing, and then people also enjoyed it as well. And specifically, my autoimmune stuff, when that popped up, that's when my recipe stuff really started taking off, and that's when I had to stand back and say, wow, I just found myself in this career that I love and that I'm good at. And now I was hit hard with this disease that's directly affected by food. And I am a food creator. It made me question everything because I was like, wow, am I even going to be able to do this anymore? But then I was like, wait a second. People are following my food blog because they also like me as a person. And this is now a big part of my life. And I started sharing about my autoimmune disease. The amount of people who related to that
Oh my God.
was crazy to me. So it was also a big realization of, wow, I just need to, as long as you're authentic and talk about real life problems, people appreciate that, especially on social media.
You have done amazing things. You've shared it on social media. This is when I remember being like, I admire this person. I want to know her, because I was like, you were living in a van creating and
Yes.
like talking about creating and living in a van. Like, you're the type of person I feel like that's like, I'm going to go teach English in Thailand, and you actually go.
Yeah.
I'm going to live in a van and travel around the US, and I'm going to go do it. Megan just got back from like a week ago from Austin, moved back because you guys leave for a month out of the winter because it's terrible here in Minnesota in the winter.
Yeah.
And go live somewhere. Like, can you talk to me about all of these things and how you just kind of go and do?
Yeah, I can. It's like honestly a blessing and a curse, because while it keeps me exploring and having new experiences, that for me is, I think, like the reason humans are put on this earth. I think we are meant to continue to grow. And I think the only way we grow as humans is to step outside our comfort zone, continue exploring new experiences, new people, new communities. And that's like my mission in life is I never want to stop exploring and learning things. And living in a van was something that I was like, that would be cool. And then I was like, no, wait, I know we can do that. So why not do it?
How did you do it?
We bought an empty van and we built it out.
You built the van? That's even freaking cooler. I didn't know you built it too.
Yeah, we built it.
Jesus.
Yep.
Every time she says something, I'm like, what? You're so fucking cool. What the hell? I haven't built a van.
Yeah, we built the van. I mean, I'm going to give Matt most of the credit.
Yeah.
I was more the aesthetic, like paint colors and knobs and stuff. But he built it like with his bare hands. Did the
Oh my
plumbing,
God.
the electricity. So yeah, we lived in our van for 5 months of the year. We left in the winters and we just went out west.
What did you find in like from yourself or learn from those experiences? Like just being out in discomfort and being out of your, you know what I mean? Out of your comfort zone, out of your space, moving around the US.
Totally. I mean, it's hard because I'm a very routine person.
I was surprised.
Yes, I'm a very routine person. So every day looked different, which is exciting. I mean, looking back on it, I'm like, that was fucking cool. We got to see a lot of stuff that you don't normally see.
Sure.
And I think the best part for me was, Matt and I always say, like the in-betweens. Like when you're flying from Minneapolis to San Diego, let's say, you're only seeing Minneapolis and then you're seeing San Diego. Mm-hmm. But when you're driving from city to city, the places you stumble upon on the road are things you would never see in an airplane. So we just saw like so much of the country that we otherwise would have never seen. And I mean, just being able to pick up and be like, hey, do you want to go to Big Sur tomorrow? And we just slept on the side of Highway 1 on Big Sur in our van.
God.
It was like the best. It was very cool.
I love it down there. I love over there, whatever, down and over, I guess, whatever.
Yes.
But oh my God, that's so freaking cool.
Yeah.
We're talking about kind of like self-development and like stepping out of your comfort zone.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to just bring this up because a lot of people write in about relationships and people holding them back and people not matching up with their lifestyle or being afraid or being in a relationship and fearful, meaning like, oh my God, is this my person? Mm-hmm. Can you just talk to me about like what you feel in this relationship with somebody who clearly supports, as far as I can see, every passion that you have,
Yes.
every like challenge or exciting new thing that you want to go try, you guys come together?
Yes. He is like, I bless him. I don't know how he puts up with my like crazy ideas because I'm just like, let's do this. Let's do this. Let's do this. But I think I have pushed him outside of his comfort zone more so to be like, anything we want to do, we can do. And I think people forget that. Like, I think when people say like, oh, I really want to go to New Zealand, it's like, you can go.
You can literally go.
You can go. Well, I don't have the money. Oh, well, save some money, or pick up a side job and make a little bit more money. Oh, but I don't know. There's this, it's like excuses. And that's fear. Excuses are just fear because your body doesn't want to be uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. Your body's going to do everything it can to keep you safe. Your mind is going to keep your body safe. It's essentially its role. So anything that feels scary is your mind's going to try to talk you out of it. Yep. But that's your sign that you should do it.
what would you say to somebody who is hearing all this and is like, I really want to make a change. I feel I'm too comfortable, or I'm in a job too deep now, or I'm like in my 40s. I don't know if I can make a change. Like, what would you say to somebody as someone who's gone through a change, not even late in a career, but 4 years in? People now today, they're like, oh my God, so late into a career. It's like, no, it's definitely not.
That's what I would say. It's never too late. I think it gets maybe more complicated the deeper whether, you're married and now you want to split up. Yeah, it's more complicated. It doesn't mean you can't do it. I think what makes it it's fear of the unknown, it's fear of failure, and the fear of, what if I'm not okay?
Yeah.
And you will be okay.
You're going to be fine.
You're going to be okay. People have support systems. They figure it out. When you are left to only figure it out, you're going to figure it out. You have no other choice. So my biggest advice would be, I don't think it's ever too late to make a change. Even 70 years old, you want to make a change in a career? Go for it.
Think about the people you admire the most. Like, even like I think of like older generations, or like my grandma, who like was just like a spitfire and like started a new career at like 75, became a reserve police officer.
Hell yeah, that's amazing.
What the like, I'm like, random, but okay. And she killed it. And think about that.
Yeah.
75, becoming a reserve police officer, something that no one ever said she could do. She was worried that no one was going to take her seriously, but she didn't let her worry stop her from doing something she was excited about. And guess what? She did it.
Yeah.
And she got awards, and she was amazing.
Amazing.
Right? So it's just like, think about the people you admire and all the things that they're doing with their life. Like, that's what I think about when I think of all this. And then sometimes when I'm sitting alone, or I'm talking to Jordan, who I hear scurrying about over there, I just heard him and I was like, is he home? Hi. Like, I'm totally like, what's it called? What's the word? Guilty. I'm like, why couldn't I think of that word? Guilty of the same thing, where I sit in my thoughts and my ideas and I'm like, oh my God, I don't know where this podcast is going to go. I don't know where I have fear that I'm not doing it right, or I'm not doing enough, or what if people don't feel the community that I'm trying to create? Like, what if they don't understand that, or like they don't feel like they can be a part of it? And what's my purpose? And I swirl in that too.
Yeah.
And yet, if I just keep chugging along and keep trying new things, and I keep aligning it to what's already natural to me, I still just go that way. I go further. I go up.
For sure. It's one foot in front of the other. Just keep making steps and stepping outside your comfort zone, even if it's a little bit at a time. And then just stay true to yourself. Keep doing what feels right. And like I said earlier, when you feel resistance, take that as a sign that that path's not right for you.
Yeah.
And going back to it never being too late, I often think about people, they're 25 years old, they want to make a change, but they don't. And then they turn 30 and they're like, wow, I wish I would have made that change when I was 25. But now it's too late because I'm 30, so I'm not going to make that change. And then they're 40 and they're like, damn, I really wish I would have made that change when I was 30. But now I'm 40 and I really can't make that change because I have kids and I have a house mortgage. And okay, so then you turn 50 and you're like, geez, I really wish I would have made it. It's just like, when you feel like you want to make a change, that's when you should make the change. Put your foot down. Put the foot down and make the change. Take one step to make that change, because it does get more complicated as the longer you put it on. Doesn't mean you can't make a change, but earlier the better. Earlier the better, obviously. Once you feel it just gets more complicated. Or you're just going to not regret, but you're almost going to let it linger in your life, and it clouds you can't see clearly because it's clouding the way. You're like, I really want to do this, but I should be just working really hard over here. And it gets cloudy and you get distracted, and it's like, just do the thing that you said you were going to do. One of mine that I can relate to is, I always said I wanted to move to California. Yeah. People have heard me talk about this, and I'm sure they'll hear me again soon because I'm going to have a careers episode. I got a job at a cool agency in LA. Yep. Was going to move out there. Something in my gut didn't feel right. Didn't take the job. COVID hits. Thank you, Jesus, that I didn't go, because I would have been stranded out in California with no money. Yep. And paying rent and stuck inside, basically. Yep. But every day, I thought about moving. Every single
day. It clouded my life.
Yep.
It clouded my relationship. It clouded my work. I was constantly looking for new jobs out there. I was dating Jordan, and I'm like, how is this going to work? I'm eventually going to move to LA. Like, I'm eventually going to leave. Like, it just was distracting.
Yeah.
And I wasn't actively doing anything to actually do it. I was scared.
Right. Yeah. No, it's fear. You're going to get talk yourself out of it.
Yeah.
If anything feels scary, you're going to be like, well, I can't go because of X, Y, Z.
I can't. I can't leave my family. I can't.
course.
Oh my God, I can't. I'm in a relationship.
It's too
I can't
expensive.
do that.
There's always a reason.
What am I
It's
going to
too
do with my
expensive.
car? You know, like all those things.
Yeah.
Finally, I said, okay, I'm going to go stay there for a month. Last year, February. I'm going to take a break from the podcast, which I thought I was never going to be able to do. I'm not allowed to take a break, right? In your head of your own work.
Right.
And I'm just going to go and I'm just going to like do the thing that scares me the most, which is leave Minnesota for a month.
Yeah.
After I've lived in Arizona, by the way. So I've left the state, but just in general, I went, I learned a lot. I was like, you know, you're independent, you're out there. I'm used to living with Jordan and like us being together all the time. I was like half the time couch surfing, half the time in Airbnbs, like dragging my shit everywhere, working from like coffee shops.
Yep.
And I don't know what it was, but it brought such a new perspective. I can't explain it. It's long enough to not be a trip, if that makes sense.
Yep.
And which you probably get because you go to Austin and you've done all this.
Yeah.
And I no longer think about moving to California ever. Ever.
And was it something about being there for a month that made you realize it wasn't aligning with you? Okay. Yeah.
It wasn't. I mean, I loved it. I loved it there, but there's things that I like. I uberly appreciate my space now. My space, my time at the gym and the gym that I like to go to.
Yep.
And being near my family and having a kitchen I can cook in and
you got one.
Yeah, I love my Center Island. I'm sorry, I do. And like being with my significant other and how that trumps anything else because that's my person.
Yeah.
And I want to do it with them. And patience.
Yeah.
That I don't need to leave for an extended move and never come back. I could save up to live somewhere for a month in the winter.
Yeah.
And do that. And then maybe eventually I've saved up enough and I can, God forbid, like purchase a condo. I'm like, hopefully, please, down the road in Arizona, which kind of like, you know, I poo-pooed on because I lived there before, but really it was toxic because of all the other things. I actually really love Arizona.
Yes. It's a great state.
I love
Lots
it.
to do.
I love it. We're getting married there. So
yeah.
I haven't talked about that on the podcast yet. So I'm going to give a full debrief in a little bit here, but I'm not going to give away too much, but so anyway, that was a long story of like just going and doing something. It removed all the pressure. Like I'm not clouded with moving to California because I don't want to move there anymore.
Right.
And I don't
give
regret
yourself
it.
a little sample of it. And that's sometimes what you need to do. Just go move there for a month, make sure it's something that you want to do. And then I also appreciate the fact that you allowed yourself to change your mind. Do you know what I mean? I think some people, they get so attached to this idea or this part of their personality or some aspect of their life that they don't change their mind because it's become so part of their identity.
Yep.
And I think being able to pivot and say, you know, what I wanted before isn't what I wanted now. Yeah. And that's okay because we change.
And that's just that.
That's all it is.
We just change
it's
a
the
little
evolution of yourself.
Never too late to change. People.
Period.
End of story.
Never
Damn
too
it.
late.
I'm like, seriously. This has been so much fun.
Yes.
I feel like we could talk for 900 years.
I
I always
know.
say that with my people that I really like jive with when I'm like having a podcast episode on. And we'll probably have to have you come back because I think even diving deeper in like your career and like just like what it looks like day to day now and all of these things that like people want to know.
Yeah, we
I
could
think
do
would
a
be really
whole
cool.
episode on like making a career out of social media.
Yeah.
Because that's a lot of questions that I get. How did you start to do this full time?
Maybe we should do that because I think a lot of people want to know about that.
Yeah.
And I think I could also learn from you because I think it's taken such a back burner, yet I've got a platform that I want to use.
Yeah.
It's just taken a back burner for a lot of different reasons.
Well, you
and
have a
I
lot
need to
going
just-
on. Yeah.
And I don't want to have a lot going on, to be honest.
You
with
want
I
to
was
be able
telling you
to
that.
focus in.
Yeah, I don't value being busy anymore as like a win.
Yeah.
It's not a win for me. I mean, right now, like, yes, I had a podcast this week, work. I have an event this weekend.
Yep.
I'm going to Bad Bunny. yeah, on Saturday. Literally can't wait to shake my ass. Okay.
Hell yeah.
And then 2 podcasts next week. And then it's my birthday. And then I fly to Arizona. Like,
wow, you got a lot going on.
Crap.
Yeah.
But I'm excited for all of those things.
Yeah.
And I'm excited to slow down. When I
Yep.
go to Arizona, I'm going to slow down. On my birthday, I took the day off. I'm slowing down. So
Good for you.
point being, I want to learn how to slow down and utilize what's in front of me. And I think a lot of people can relate to that. Instead of doing 14 jobs, I want to do 1 to 2
Yep.
that I'm really honed in on.
For sure. And I mean, that's how you're going to succeed in those areas. When
Yeah.
you're spreading yourself too thin, nothing's getting your full attention.
No.
Or energy.
No.
And you're going to end up drained, overworked, burnout, and that's not going to lead to success in any of those areas.
No.
You got to be able to hone in on what's really fueling you, what's exciting you.
And I think I know now a little bit more. Like I feel things now that I'm like, oh, I didn't feel that or know that before. So
Yeah.
more to talk about in that. I
For
think.
sure. Yeah.
Where can people find you? Where can they like see your blog? I need to go actually fully read your blog. I always do social because that's easy for me. Because
Social's easy.
I like to take in all the content and make her recipes. So
Yes. Well, that's where I started. I was first on Instagram. That grew a ton. And then I'm on TikTok. It's just at Megan Sheley.
Okay.
And then last summer is when I went full time into content creation is when I built my website.
Okay.
So I had a lot of the older generations wondering where they could find my recipes off of social media because they wanted to print it out.
Which I get. I want to
get
do
it.
that now. I'm
get
sick
it.
of the freaking social thing.
The captions for reading Instagram or for reading recipes is just not it.
Yeah,
so
I know.
I was like, I need a place that's a bit more user friendly. So now I'm megansheley.com.
There you go.
Yeah.
There, boom. Go
Boom.
follow her. Go watch her stuff. Go make a recipe because there's a few on there that I was like, yes, please. I can't remember which most recently I've made of yours, but it was fire.
What was it?
I don't know. Now I'm like, I want to Google it, whatever. Look it up on your Instagram. That I'm like,
Was it like an entree, like a dinner?
It was a dinner. I'm looking you up as we speak.
Was it the taco skillet?
Oh, I think it was.
That's a popular one.
Yeah, that's for sure what it was. There's
Yeah.
also one I saw today. What's this one? The caramelized onion croissant.
Oh, yes.
The Target
egg
one?
bake.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes,
that's
please.
Delicious. Perfect for Easter brunch.
I know. Look at you go. Yeah, it was the taco thing.
Yeah.
The taco bake.
That's a good one.
It's fire. All of your recipes are fire, and they're like, you try to do them like very healthy. I feel like, and with like correct nutrition. I don't even know what the word healthy means anymore because it's like
I know
it's thrown around
it's
so
so
much.
individualized and personal, and I try to mix in mostly wholesome ingredients. But hey, I love sugar and butter just as much as everyone
I know.
else. And my biggest thing is balance.
All about
eat the
balance.
goddamn cookie. If you're gonna crave a chocolate chip cookie, make a real chocolate chip cookie with sugar and butter
And eat it.
and eat it.
And stop with the fake shit and
Yeah.
and stop like being like, I'll just have like 4 apples and stuff. It's like, dude, eat the cookie.
Eat the cookie. Eat the cookie.
You're fine. You're probably gonna have the same amount of sugar and carbs in that. Like if you have an apple and a cookie,
Totally.
just different.
Yep. It's
Different.
all about balance.
Yep.
80-20, baby.
Also, I'm looking at this one that I made, and this I'm obsessed with too. It was the whipped feta with balsamic roasted. Oh, it changed strawberries.
Oh, you made that?
Yeah, that stuff
That one's
is
good.
good.
That one's good.
That one was good. I made it for a party. I'm pretty sure.
Oh, good.
Yeah. So anyway,
That's
so
a good
making your
summer
recipes.
appetizer.
Exactly.
That's great.
It was a while ago.
Yep.
Crew, as always, please go follow on Instagram, follow on YouTube if you can. I'd like to get to, I don't even know if I'm at 10K. I need to go look. I'm close. I'm buffering on this
you.
10K. And I said when I got to 10K, I would start doing vlogs
Hell yeah.
because I kind of want to. I never
They're
thought I'd
fun.
like to, but I think I'd want to. I want to.
They're fun and people love vlogs.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. People are nosy. They want to know what you're doing. They
found
want to
that
know
out.
what you're wearing, what's in your hair, what products you're using, where you going, what you eating. They want to know everything.
You want to know it all, you nosy, crazy people. But as always, please write in for advice. There's a link in my bio if you're either not in the US or in Canada. So Canada and everywhere else, I suppose, right? So if you're anywhere else except besides the US, you can use the link in my bio to write in. If you're in the US, you can use my number 612-470-7569. Call me, please, if you can, because that is the easiest way for me to take advice. Cool? Cool schmool.
Love it.
Megan, this was so much fun.
So much fun.
Thank you for coming on.
Of course.
Thank you for
Thanks
being
for having
here.
me.
Thanks for sharing all the above, like
Yep.
about change
Anytime.
being good and autoimmune and all the things. I'm glad we can relate on that too.
I know. It's important topics to talk about. Makes
Yeah.
people feel less alone.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Let me know what you think. If you want to message me or Megan or both of us, please do, because we love hearing about like, what did you feel? What did you relate with? What did you learn? Like, I want to know all those things. I love you and I'm glad you're here and I can't wait for the next one. So appreciate you all. Talk soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.